Carbon neutral, I'm sure that you've mostly likely heard the term carbon neutral being used. It's referring to a company measuring their scope 1 and 2 emissions and offsetting that same level of emissions. And offsetting here means compensating. Basically, what they are doing, they are removing from the atmosphere the same amount of emissions that they are emitting. So, for example, a company may invest in a project where they are planting trees that absorb CO2. So basically, they are compensating the CO2 that they are emitting with the CO2 that the trees absorb. So they may be reducing emissions, but it's not necessary that they reduce emissions. And that's why declaring carbon neutrality has a high risk of greenwashing, as some carbon projects are unreliable. And for example, if we are investing in a project that is planting trees in the other side of the world, maybe we don't know what exactly they are doing, and maybe the amount of emissions that we are compensating is not the same as the ones that we are emitting. That's why we need to be very careful if we are purchasing any carbon neutrality certification. We need to see in what projects we are investing. And now we know that the European Union is approving regulations to ban greenwashing linked to climate neutrality. And that's why it's very important also that we are very careful, because the European Union is looking for climate neutrality certificates or carbon neutrality certificates. And yeah, they are just looking that we are not doing greenwashing with our certifications. And that's why I really like net zero, because on the other hand, we have net zero. That means that we need to reduce scopes 1, 2, and 3 by 90% from a baseline year, which Kir was saying about. So once we have a baseline year, we need to reduce our scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions by 90% and only use carbon offsetting when emissions cannot be reduced anymore. So for this 10%, we will compensate our emissions, but only for this remaining 10%. So this wouldn't be a certification as carbon neutrality. This would be a commitment, right? Net zero is a commitment and carbon neutrality is a certification.